I heard that song and I went to John Peake and said, guys, this song is really, really good. And so I'm really into the song. I just don't know if that's a good thing. I don't have a history of picking hits. You know what I mean?
I mean, nobody can guess these days anymore. It's just like there's no telling. So it's like you could put out the best song of your career.
Sure.
But if it doesn't go viral on TikTok, then it doesn't exist.
Is that so?
That's every song.
Or do you feel like TikTok controls more than it should?
Yeah, 100%. But here's the thing. I have friends with a lot of the people at TikTok that run global music and that kind of the higher ups.
Okay.
And that was never their intention.
It just happened.
It happened.
So that was
completely organic.
Yeah.
They as it started happening during COVID, all of the people that run things from Shanghai all the way down were kind of like puzzled. They were like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Like we're now influencing the music industry.
Yeah.
And now it's like the single biggest influence on the music industry. Outside of like, a big movie or a trailer or a TV commercial campaign.
Right,
It's like Sia had a big hit last year, Unstoppable, because of a Samsung Galaxy campaign.
Oh.
And, Samsung Galaxy, they company like Samsung, they're doing so many ads across the world that it creates its own inertia. And, Top Gun for us with I Ain't Worried.
Yeah.
Like the movie pushed it, but it still went viral on TikTok. And that's really what made I Ain't Worried go off was TikTok.
I have to be honest, and I feel like I really may have overestimated my part of this. Like when I was playing Sia Unstoppable and stuff, and I was playing your song, like, I'm doing my part, man.
No, you're still doing your part, but because it's like, we live in what I call the attention economy now, and the economy that as a species, attention is the highest form of currency, and it's the only form of currency in the music industry. So, getting the world to know that your song exists is 99.999% of the battle. Writing a hit song is like 0.1% of the battle.
That's not that hard for you, writing a hit song? It comes easier to you than most?
I would never be as like pretentious to say, oh, it's not hard for me.
Right.
It's maybe slightly easier for me than some because I gravitate melodically what I gravitate towards and what I'm listening for. I'm just a byproduct of growing up literally as a top 40 baby, like in the 90s and 80s. It's like I just lived on radio. And,
so you're kind of Ryan Tedder's here, by the way. Give it up, Ryan Tedder, in case you're just tuning in. So
not to be confused with Gosling or Reynolds.
You're right.
We're all related.
Don't do it. Your hair is on point today, so
thank you.
Congrats with that.
Well, it was time to cut it, so
I like it. So growing up in the 80s and like 90s and stuff, for you, what was a band that when it came on the radio in the 80s, and then I'll ask for the 90s as well, where you just turned it up and you enjoyed it?
I would say if you're catching the tail end of the 80s, I would say the Police.
Yes.
The Police and U2 for sure, but more so even at that time, the Police, and which led then into Sting's run in the 90s, but Every Breath You Take, that's like one of the first hits I remember.
Right.
And that's the most played song in radio history. So it's like that song has just resonated with me from day one.
Are your kids named after the manager? Miles and Copeland?
No. Funny enough, they're not.
Oh, because you said Police.
Yeah, Miles Copeland, Stuart Copeland. Yeah. No, it's fun. Yeah, I was with. I'm friends with a lot of his friends, and everybody assumes that. But yeah.
Well,
it makes sense.
Big moment come alive here.
It was Miles Davis, Aaron Copeland.
Okay.
So then I'd say late 80s, early 90s, I was a massive fan of all that. Like, man, MC Hammer doesn't get enough credit. Hammer Time, man.
Did you wear the pants?
Pray. No, I didn't wear the pants.
I wore the pants.
Yeah, I didn't. Sadly, I didn't get the pants, but I saw them in concert, and I went to the tour, and I still can't believe I got to see all this, but it was ABC, Another Bad Creation, first of three.
Yep.
Right, Aisha, Playground.
So glad to meet you.
They were first of three. Second of three was Boyz II Men.
Yes.
And the headliner was MC Hammer, and I saw that tour.
Dude.
Think about how epic that tour is.
That's so good.
So that represents, I shifted from bands when all of the world fell in love with Nirvana and all the alternative music. I fell in love with I zagged. Everyone was blasting Nirvana and Pearl Jam,
right?
And I thought they had a couple good songs. I genuinely I was so vocal focused on voices. If I didn't think you had a great voice, I didn't care about your songs to a fault. Like it took me forever to get into The Cure because Robert Smith.
Oh, really?
To me, Robert Smith's voice, I was like, it sounds like I always, not throwing. Now I love The Cure, but at the time I thought it sounded like almost like a cartoon character.
So
like I wasn't into it.
If you're a voice guy, were you like an aha Take on Me guy?
Very much. I've tried to rewrite Take on Me 100 times.
Have you?
One of the most perfectly written pop songs of all time.
And the range was so good.
His range, I was obsessed with Boyz II Men.
Okay, yeah.
And I learned how to sing because of Boyz II Men.
Did you really? Have you ever told him that?
Yes, I told Wanya that and Sean Stockman.
Yeah.
We did an episode of Songland, that songwriting TV show I did a couple years ago. Boyz II Men was on an episode, and I geeked out on them. So all the vocal agility and runs that I learned are I attribute solely to Boyz II Men. My understanding of kind of ballad pop songwriting comes from Boyz II Men because it was Babyface who wrote those songs.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
But I also love, like, I'm a sucker for big movie theatrical stuff like Peter Cetera, Glory of Love from Karate Kid Part 2.
God, dude.
And Peter Cetera's voice is insane.
Yep.
I was obsessed with Peter Gabriel.
Yep, Sledgehammer.
Basically anyone named Peter. I was obsessed with Sledgehammer and Steam. I was.
So you found Cetera like after Chicago?
I found Cetera. I didn't know what Chicago. I'm too young for Chicago.
That would have been back further, right? Yeah,
so like, there's a lot of stuff that I missed by like just a couple years.
Yeah.
How about this? Like, I'm just young enough that like E.T. meant nothing to me. Like, I didn't watch E.T. till I was probably 20, because like it was like 4 years before, before I was watching cognizant of movies.
Honestly, it didn't do much for me either, and that's not to be a bad person.
No, it's a great movie.
But like, I was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah. Okay.
That was me.
Yeah.
I was into that.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that movie. How about that?
Oh, that's great.
I haven't seen it. I should go watch it. Yeah, but I was like Flight of the Navigator is more my speed.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, but the 90s pop, I was more into the R&B and pop groups and the vocal groups, Color Me Bad.
Yeah. Sex You Up.
I was living in Oklahoma, and I Want to Sex You Up came out, and they were the biggest thing. They came out of OKC, and I was living in OKC, and I was like, oh my God, you can make it from Oklahoma. And I was into the pop groups. I didn't come back around on alternative music till much later. And then I became, obsessed with the songwriting.
Yeah.
The craft of the Backstreet Boys songs, the NSYNC songs. I was because like I was simultaneously obsessed with Oasis, and I learned guitar playing Oasis records and wanted to be in a band, but then I'd flip over and I'd listen to It's Gonna Be Me, and I would with my very like kind of rudimentary computer stuff that I bought on credit, in college, I would reproduce those tracks, like It's Gonna Be Me, Bye Bye Bye, dong 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 dong, like, and I would just search and find sounds and buy CDs on eBay full of sounds, and I would reproduce those tracks.
Right.
And if I heard like
did you just sing along to them at the same time? Put your own vocals on it, or
not really?
No, okay.
I would because I didn't have I couldn't afford a microphone. So I would redo. It was more focused on the production.
Yeah.
And I was skipping class to write songs, and I was just basically taking top 40, like #1 records, big hits, and I would take the chords.
Yep.
From a huge record, like let's say Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, right? So I'd learn the chords to that, because it's a Diane Warren song, I believe. I'd learn the chords to that, and then I would rewrite in it what we call top line in songwriter terms. I would rewrite an entire song on top of those chords, and I would try to see how many. It'd take me 3, 4, 5 attempts to see if I could write something as good as that hit over those chords. And that's really that was my process in the gateway into songwriting. How I learned it. I would reproduce tracks from Michael Jackson records. Yeah. And then I would rewrite songs using Diane Warren chords. And
did you have the Diane Warren potty mouth, or did you leave that?
No, I didn't know about that till much later.
We know that 1989, Taylor's version, is coming soon. Did you have anything to do with the re-records?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know how much you can say.
That's literally that's as much as I can say.
Okay.
That's all you can say?
Yeah.
So you were part of that process, the re-records?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That makes me excited.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Are we getting a double album?
Oh, I'm not answering anything else.
Hey, you went too far.
I don't know a damn thing. I just know that when I found out, when it was happening, just the same time everybody else did, which is when she posted on Twitter or whatever.
Right.
And then I just remember thinking, my manager was like, "That's going to be a big day," and I was like, "Yeah, that's going to be a big day." Yeah. I think I'm going to go just like. I might take that day off.
Yeah. I might kind of hide out.
I might just go get some fish tacos and like hang out by the beach. I don't know. I'm just going to have just take the day off.
And your Reputation too, right? Is of Endgame.
Sorry, say it again.
Reputation, her album, because you did Endgame, right, with Ed Sheeran and.
No, I did a remix of another song. I think on Reputation. Okay. I did a remix that did pretty well.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Who's reaching? Like, are you reaching out to these folks? They reach out to you?
They, for the most part, reach out to me. I mean, every artist is different. Like, every single artist is different, right? So, like, I'll give you an example. Like, recently, like, David Kushner and I connected through Instagram. Most of the artists I work with are like Instagram, right? I meet them on Instagram or TikTok. We DM whatever, and that's how you end up writing with. Right. I've been texting with Bailey Zimmerman, who's having, he just had his first country #1 with Religiously for like 9 months, about let's get together and write this, that, and the other. And so that's how you kind of, if I like an artist, I go on, and half the time I go on their page and I'm like, oh, they follow me. I had no idea. So then I'm hit them up. What's up? Ran like more recently, like Tate McRae. We met.
Greedy, right?
I did Greedy. We met through mutual songwriter friend Jay Cash, who wrote a lot of the Maroon 5. He wrote Attention, Charlie Puth. Cash wrote the Last Night, Morgan Wallen. He co-wrote that. So anyway, we meet through those communities. I ended up on a Zoom with Tate three and a half years ago in the middle of pandemic. And I was like just a random artist from Canada. She was still living at home, like 16, 17, I think she was. Oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh, she's really good. Yeah. And we did a decent song. It was okay. And then like 3 months later, You Broke Me First came out. I was like, oh my God, that's the same girl.
Right.
And then we connected randomly at the beginning of this year and did like a hell of a lot of songs together. We like probably did 7 or 8 songs together. And I think the 5th or 6th song we did was Greedy. Yeah. One
thing we've done with artists that have come in the studio, we do these short, scary stories. Do you think you have a decent, scary voice?
I could try.
Okay. They're short, super short. Read those with your best scary voice and command the Halloween.
I woke up to hear the sound of knocking on glass. At first I thought it was the window until I realized the sound was coming from the mirror. I was tucking my son into bed.
Hold on, I stepped in you. That was really good. Go ahead. That was it's like really scary. Like you have another career that you may not know about.
I was tucking my son into bed, and he said, "Daddy, check for the monsters under my bed." I looked underneath for his amusement, and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody on my bed."
That's perfect. Oh my God. Dude, that's perfect. That's terrifying because that's like, it's another identical kid beneath the bed. And he's saying, there's somebody up top, man. Dad, what's up with that kid?
Exactly.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
I'm shocked right now.
Ryan Tedder.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Wow.